Welcome to Coach Bennett's podcast, where every run has a purpose, where kindness is hardcore, where this is about running, and this is not about running, where every starting line is a finish line in disguise, where rambling still gets you where you need to be, where pineapple will never ruin your pizza, and the sodas, adult and not adult kind, are always cold, and where there is room on the starting line for everybody. I'm Coach Bennett. Thank you for letting me be a part of your day. Let's get started. All right, welcome to episode 98 of Coach Bennett's podcast. And I'll tell you what, we're going a little rogue today. Yeah, we are. Because this is the thing. I had an entire episode planned. I had it mapped out. I even bullet pointed a whole bunch of things where I was like, all right, this is what we're going to talk about. And again, it was inspired by so many of you. Because there's some big time spring races coming up, and you know, it's not just marathons, it's 5Ks, it's 8Ks, it's 15Ks, it's half marathons, and there was some questions that, you know, I could kind of consolidate into an episode where I thought, you know what, I'm going to be able to answer this in one episode and people are going to be so excited. But then, you know what, this is what happened. I started to realize that over the last, not just weeks, months, I've been getting a consistent amount of feedback from so many of you, not asking about how to do a certain workout, how to prepare for a certain race. You know, it wasn't about that. It wasn't questions about speed runs or easy runs or long runs or cadence or heart rate or zones or any of that stuff. It wasn't about running economy, being efficient with your running. It wasn't about form. It was about something else. And as you know, this podcast is about running, but it's also not about running. And I realized what more people were asking than anything else was they wanted a pep talk. They wanted some support. They wanted me to talk to them through some stuff. And you know what? That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. And here's the thing. I hope that this is good enough, deserving of what you need, that you can come back to this time and time again. Because I'm not planning this out. I'm not writing anything out. This is an 11th hour thing, a last minute decision where I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to give you a pep talk. And if I'm being totally honest, which I feel like as a coach I have to be totally honest, I'm also doing this for myself. I need a pep talk too. Yeah, I do. It's not easy right now. It's not. I mean, if you care about the world, if you care about the people around you, whether they're wearing figuratively or literally the same jersey as you are, if you're someone who cares about what the next 30 days to 30 years to 300 years are going to be like on this planet, and if you're just struggling with your running, if you're struggling at school, if you're struggling at work, if you're struggling in a relationship, you need a pep talk. We need them. And this is the thing. This isn't going to solve the problem of, guess what? You know, sometimes things aren't going right. Sometimes things are a struggle. This isn't going to solve that, because guess what? If you're living a life fully lived, you're going to struggle. You're going to have hard times. You're going to have hurdles that you're going to have to clear and barriers that you're going to come up against. And guess what? You're going to need pep talks. I mean, you're going to need pep talks. That's it. You're going to need people in your life that you can lean on, that will support you, that will let you know you have what it takes. Because guess what? It's great if you have the ability to be your own best coach, your own best teammate, your own best friend. And I say over and over again, those things are super important, and they are. It will also be easier if you have other coaches in your life, other teammates in your life, other friends in your life. So this is just me trying to be another coach, another friend, and another teammate in your life.
All right. So I'm going to start with just what I think is the foundation of all of it is if you're wondering whether or not you can, yeah, you can. And by that, I mean, can you try to do what you're trying to do? I don't work in this like universe of if you think you can do it, you can do it. Like, listen, I don't know how old I was. I must have been 4, I guess. And I remember I would jump off this bench near the pool, this community pool that we used to go to. And I used to, think I could fly because Superman had come out. Maybe I wasn't 4. Maybe I was like 5 or 6. It doesn't matter. The point is, and the only reason I'm bringing it up is because I must have been old enough to have seen Superman with Christopher Reeve. By the way, what a great Superman. But the point is, I thought, well, obviously I can fly because he could fly, so I'm going to fly. Well, there's nothing I can do that's going to make me be able to fly in the way that he can fly. I can fly for a moment because that's what jumping is. Hell, that's what running is. Running is just a bunch of little periods of very, very short flights. But I wanted to fly like he could fly. And no matter how many times I jumped off the bench, I couldn't do it. So this isn't me saying, hey, guess what? If you keep jumping off the bench, at some point, you're going to be able to fly around the earth so fast that you can turn back time. Now, if you haven't seen the Superman movies with Christopher Reeve, I ruined something. But guess what? These movies came out like 30 years ago. How have you not seen these movies? What are you doing? Don't get mad at me because you're like, guess what? I listened to the podcast and then I watched Superman, and I'm not going to tell you which one, but I watched Superman, and suddenly I knew what was going to happen because you told me, you've had 30 years to watch these movies. 30. Get over yourself. Don't blame me. Anyway, let's get back to the point. The point is, yes, I believe you can. And by that I mean I believe you can try to do it, which means, yes, you can keep going. You can keep working towards it. This isn't a Sisyphean task where you're constantly pushing the ball up the hill and it's rolling itself back down. Because here's the thing, what I want you to know is when you're going after a goal, the point isn't, can I do this or not? The point is, can I give my best in the attempt to do it? That's what we're going after. We're not going after a goal because we think, well, if we go after the goal, we're going to accomplish it. I don't know if you're going to accomplish it. You don't know if you're going to accomplish it. That's not why we're going after it. We're going after a goal, a challenge. We're taking on an adventure. We're starting a journey because we believe it's going to better us as a result. And that has nothing to do with the finish line. It has nothing to do with whether or not we accomplish the task. Yeah, bonus if we accomplish it. But that's not what it's about. The point is, can you keep going forward, progressing towards the accomplishment, regardless of whether or not you accomplish it? And I'll tell you what, if you can give your best, then you are at your best. And that's the best you can do, period. End of story, full stop, send the telegram. And that's what I believe you can do. I believe you can give your best. All right? That's what I believe, which means I think you can keep going. You can keep progressing. You can keep moving forward. Absolutely. Now, here's a couple of things that I want to throw in there, which are super important. Yes, sometimes you're going to need to rest. Sometimes you're going to need to even stop in order to keep going. This is one of the mistakes we make. So if you're tired, if you're fatigued, if you're exhausted, if you're worn out, if you're thinking, I can't keep going, okay, pause. I'll tell you what, maybe you can't keep going unless you stop. Maybe you can't keep going unless you pause. Maybe you can't keep going unless you rest. The mistake that too many of you make is in thinking that pausing, stopping, recovering, resting, refreshing is the end. It's not. It's part of the journey. And if you dismiss the need to pause, stop, refresh, then you're not going to be able to restart. And as I've mentioned before, we're not finished when we stop. We're finished when we stop starting. So, yes, you can keep going, but maybe in order to keep going, you need to stop. You need to pause. You need to refresh. You need to recover. That's what I'm saying. And on top of that, let me throw one more thing in there. Maybe what you really need to do is change direction. Maybe you're heading in the wrong direction. Maybe what you need to do is change what you're doing if you want to get closer to what you're trying to do. And listen, that's great news. If you're in a headspace where you're thinking, you know what, this isn't working out, I can't do this, and you find out that actually that's not what's going on. What's going on is you're doing the wrong thing. That's great news. And a lot of times we think anything negative is bad news. No, that's not true. Sometimes negative stuff is great news because the alternative is what's really bad. I would rather have someone tell me, hey, guess what? The reason why you're not accomplishing this is not because you can't accomplish it. It's because you're going about accomplishing it the wrong way. That's some really great news. So do not dismiss these things. Do not take them as broadsides or negatives against you. Sometimes if we really listen to what's being said to us, and we break it down, and we don't immediately go towards, well, this is an attack on me. This is something that's trying to diminish what I'm trying to do. This is trying to limit what I can do. Instead, if we look at it and really think, well, what's being said here? Oh, I'm heading in the wrong direction. This is great news, which means if I change course, if I alter where I'm going, which I have the power to do, I can head in the right direction, which means I will be getting closer and closer to where I want to go. Another thing that I want to bring up here is, which, maybe this is the first thing I should have brought up. I'm not sure. Remember, I'm riffing on this right now, is why are you doing or trying to do what you're hopefully doing? Like, why are you going after this? This is going to be a heart-to-heart you have to have with yourself. You're going to have to be honest, which I feel like should be an obvious thing right now. But I'll tell you what, there's no one you will lie to more in your life than yourself. And that's fascinating, isn't it? I mean, let's just pause for a second. It's obviously ridiculous and it's, self-sabotage. But for a moment here, let's just separate ourselves from the negative stuff and just realize how fascinating is that? Like, we lie to ourselves more than we lie to anyone else. We're also crueler to ourselves and in much greater quantity than anyone else, which is bizarre because, there's no benefit to being cruel to yourself. There's also no benefit to lying to yourself because, one, you're lying, so you're also wasting energy trying to then convince yourself that you don't know that you're lying so you can live this lie, but people do it all the time. Maybe now more than ever. I don't know if social media is to blame or not. I think, why don't we just start with ourselves and realize if we stop lying to ourselves, our lives are way, way easier. But the point here is I want you to just not lie to yourself when you ask this question and answer it. Why are you doing or trying to do what you're hopefully doing? Why are you going after this? Do you really want to go after this? Because I'll tell you what, I've worked with a lot of athletes where we've gotten pretty deep into a training plan where they finally admitted, I actually don't want to do this. I want to do something else. Great. That's fantastic. I'm not going to have a problem with that. If you're not really into this, let's not go after it. Let's do something else extraordinary. I mean, the whole purpose of running is for you to end it better than you started. And if you're chasing something that you're not really interested in, you're going down a really bizarre road. I don't know where that leads. Now, if you're going after something that you're really interested in, that you're passionate about, that you love, that you want to experience, okay, we've got something really powerful in a positive way that we can work towards. But if you're trying to do work leading to something that you don't want to get to, man, it's like running into a headwind, like a really nasty headwind. And it's like you have a choice. Like, do I run into the headwind? Do I not run into the headwind? And listen, hardcore dudes, don't be like, well, there's a benefit to running into a headwind. I know there is. The point is, if you're trying to run your fastest time, you don't choose to run into the headwind. All right, that's just stupid. So the point is, ask yourself, why are you doing this? And if you have a real reason to do it, let's go. Let's do it. And listen, this is the thing. It's still going to be difficult. It's still going to be a struggle. Even if you're passionate about something, even if you're excited about something, you are going to have moments where it ain't easy. And that's what I just want to bring up right now, because just because you're passionate about it and you want to do it, it doesn't mean it's always going to be easy. So don't think when it gets hard, you're doing something wrong or you're not good enough. More often than not, it means you're on the right track. Because at some point, it's going to be tough. Any great goal is going to have some struggle. And maybe this is a good way to segue into this. Screw the numbers. Screw the numbers. If you are day in and day out logging your numbers, listen, that means, at least to me, it's a good thing. You're keeping a running log. I just hope you're writing about more than just the numbers, because your distance, your duration, your pace, all that's telling you is how long, how far, and how fast the story took. It's not telling you the good stuff, the meat and the potatoes, what was really going on in the story. If trailers for movies were just, hey, it's an hour and 47 minutes long, that's not going to tell you anything. And that's just a trailer. I mean, there's a story involved. There's emotion involved. There are epiphanies, experiences. There are breakthroughs, barriers being broken down. There are struggles, stumbles. That's what's going on during those minutes, those meters, those miles, at that pace. So what I want you to do is realize, like, hey, those numbers, they're not the story, okay? They're not. And listen, here's the thing. Numbers don't lie, but they don't tell you the whole story. So don't get bogged down. Don't get held back by those numbers. Those numbers should give you insight and inspiration. That's what they should do. That's it. They should not be diminishing what you're doing. They should be giving you insight into what you're doing. They should not be killing your motivation. They should be inspiring what you're going to do next. And listen to what I just said. Inspiring what you're going to do next. If you're tired, then those numbers should be inspiring you making adjustments. That's what should be happening. They should not be diminishing you, especially if what you're trying to do is your best. You got it? Which leads me to the next thing that I want to talk about is embracing the struggle. Sometimes I preface this by saying, I wish I had an answer or some, coaching philosophy that would lead to struggling less. And it's like, well, I don't know, because you have to struggle. That's just part of it. I mean, if you want to get better at anything, there's going to be a struggle. If you want to, again, live this life, there's going to be a struggle. If you want to have relationships, real, deep, impactful relationships with people, there's going to be a struggle. That's just how it is. I'm not saying it's always going to be a struggle, because it should not always be a struggle. What I'm saying is there will be struggle. That's what I'm saying. So embrace it. Embrace it. Wrap your arms around it. Because when you wrap your arms around it, what you realize is, oh, I can hold this. I can contain this. I can deal with this. And what that then leads you to do is figure out how to best move on, learn from, benefit from, recover from this struggle. And more often than not, it involves you being open and honest with yourself, and being open and honest with other people, and asking yourself for help and asking others for help. If you're not willing to do that, then you need to at least admit to yourself you're not willing to deal with it, whatever that struggle is. It's a great conversation to have, let me tell you, Because a lot of people are like, I don't need help. Okay, that's fine. Then admit to yourself you do not want help that could help you deal with this thing that you need help with. And suddenly things become clear, like, oh, I do need help. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. Always to ask for help when you need it. So embrace the struggle, and when and if needed, ask for help. Because I'll tell you what, a lot of times people think when they ask for help, they're at their weakest. Well, I think it's the opposite. I think you're at your strongest when you ask for help. So if you just believe me, which, I mean, you should, next time you ask for help, you're at your strongest. That's a pretty cool thing to realize, that like, hey, I can't figure out this math problem. I can't figure out how to deal with this relationship issue. I can't figure out how to deal with this thing I've got going on at work. Whatever it may be, I'm going to ask for help. And this is proof of me being at my strongest. Oof, baby. Let's go. And let's move on to another thing. I only have a couple more things. I'm not going to keep you because this is, again, kind of, I don't know if it's a rant or a ramble. I'm not really sure. You can decide. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put up maybe on the Coach Bennett's newsletter, when there's a link to this, I'll put on there like, was the pep talk a rant or a ramble? You know, I'm not really quite sure which one. I don't think either one is bad. It's just which one, if you have to like kind of, you know, associate yourself with. Was it a rant or a ramble? All right, another thing. Are you better for this? This is a really valid question, because a lot of times people don't ask this question. So they go after something. They keep running themselves after this. They keep pushing. They keep pulling. They keep struggling. They keep shoving. They keep working and working and working and working towards something. And they never ask themselves, like, am I better for this? Not just the work. Will I be better for accomplishing this? And if the answer is no, then guess what? The badass thing to do is to stop. It is. We used to have this conversation, Coach Bennett, the grader, that's Tammy, my wife from the Show Up Society. We used to have this conversation where she would read books, and if the book wasn't that good, and she would get into it, like 100 pages in, she's like, this is just terrible. She would stop reading it. I would keep reading a book. I'm like, if I started it, I'm going to finish it. And I would get 100 pages, 200 pages, 300 pages in. And I'm like, this is awful. And she's like, well, why don't you stop? And I was like, well, because I started it. What a colossal waste of time. I could have been reading so many other books that I enjoyed, that I benefited from the time that I gave to it, instead of just wasting hours and hours reading books that sucked. And I'm not saying you give up early. I'm talking about when you get into a point where we're like so deep into this that yes, it makes sense if you're not thinking about anything sensical to just keep going. But what a terrible reason to finish something. Like, well, I'm almost at the end. This sucks. I don't like it. It's not enjoyable. It's a waste of my time. I'm not benefiting from this. But you know what? I'm 3/4 of the way done. What? Instead of wasting in another quarter, towards this book, why don't you start another book that may be life-changing, beneficial, something you enjoy, something that instigates something inside of you that inspires you to do something great? Why waste your time on things that waste your time? That's all I'm saying. So ask yourself a very simple question. Are you better for this? And lastly, because we're going to wrap this up, because whether it's a rant or a ramble, I don't want to take too much of your time here. I want you to take your time after this to make some decisions, to make some adjustments, to make some changes, to make some forward progression. So the last thing I'm going to say is celebrate your badass self. Yeah, Celebrate your badass self. Whether you are going to continue going forward with what you are trying to do or whether you are going to stop what you're doing, celebrate your badass self. Because if you've done what I told you to do, if you've asked the questions I've told you to ask, if you've answered honestly, guess what? You're going to make the right decision. And when you make the right decision, it is something worthy of your celebration. Doing the right thing will not always be easy, but doing the right thing will always be the right thing. And the right thing is always worthy of celebration. So if you're tired, if you're uninspired, if you're low on motivation, if you're feeling unconfident, what I want you to do here is celebrate your badass self if you are doing the right thing, period. It is worthy of celebration. And if you need somebody to celebrate with you, reach out to me. I'll celebrate with you. Are you kidding me? I love to party. Reach out to me and say, hey, guess what? I'm really working hard on this and it's a struggle and I just need somebody to give me a fist pump or a high five. I'll send you one. Do it. Send it. So there you go. We'll get to some of the other topics that I wanted to get to before I realized we all need a pep talk. You and me both. So I hope this helped. And if you have people in your life that need a pep talk, share this with them. And you know what? If you share it with them and you tag me, I'll celebrate with you. Oh yeah. We'll just party. That's what we're going to do. All right? So, thank you for listening to Coach Bennett's podcast. Thank you for being a supporter of this community. Thank you for running. Thank you for listening. Thank you for reading. Thank you for being a good person. So take care of yourself and take care of each other. And I'll meet you on that next starting line. Thank you so much for listening to Coach Bennett's podcast today. And if you haven't already subscribed or set yourself as a follower to the podcast, I really hope you would. And make sure you check out the show notes, because in those show notes, you're going to find a link to Coach Bennett's newsletter and all the social media sites I'm on, like Instagram and Threads and Cameo and Blue Sky and nope, not on that one anymore. So all the ones I am on, you're going to find it in the show notes, so check that out as well. And as always, thank you again for listening to Coach Bennett's podcast. Until next time, you keep taking care of yourself and each other.